Hello friends, I'm George, the nice medic gentleman. Welcome back to the channel guys, I hope that all of you are doing well. Today's video is going to be about two very impressive fragrances that have three things in common. The first one is that they have a very high quality. The second thing is the fact that both of them contain a strong leather note, and the third thing is that both of them are pretty much beast mode performing fragrances. The two scents that I'm going to talk about in this video today are: the first one comes from the house of Ahmed Al Maghribi and it's called Simply Leather, and the second fragrance comes from the house of Afnan and it's called Tobacco Rush. I'm going to start the video off by talking firstly about Ahmed Al Maghribi's leather. Now this is the box of the fragrance. It comes in this sort of an yellowish color that has a sort of like a skin pattern on it. On the front you got the name of the fragrance, on the top there's the Ahmed Al Maghribi logo, on the back you get some additional information. There's also a production date on the bottom which reads April of 2023. It's a 50 milliliter bottle size and EDP concentration, but I doubt it a little bit and I'll talk about that in a second. And this is how the bottle looks. It is kind of cute little bottle that has sort of a frosted finish on it. The cap has some wooden finish on it plus some plastic. All in all, the packaging is really interesting. Now, when it comes to the note breakdown of leather from Ahmed Al Maghribi, unfortunately I couldn't find a reliable note breakdown online, so I'm just going to tell you what I pick up out of this fragrance. Now, let me just tell you that this fragrance is a clone of Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather. It's in that same leathery type of family of fragrances. The sprayer is very nice. It feels like it's kind of pressurized. And now onto the scent of leather. The backbone of this fragrance, as the name would suggest, is the leather note. It's a very high quality leather note that's very strong from the opening to the dry down. Immediately after spraying leather, you pick up that very strong leather note. The opening is also feels a little bit bright and fresh. There's a touch of citruses here, maybe something like bergamot, although it's not very strong. And the other really strong note in the opening of this fragrance is the note of raspberry. So it's copying pretty much the original scent from Tom Ford. Get that leathery, sweet, slightly fresh, and a touch of spiciness in here in the opening, maybe a saffron note. On the dry down, this fragrance, the raspberry goes away. The dry down is about the mix of that leather, which is still very strong on the dry down, the saffron, and on the dry down you're also introduced to some ambery sweetness as well. Making this fragrance very balanced and really has a really nice quality. The leather note is super high quality, and all in all, the fragrance is very nicely blended. It's very close to to Tuscan Leather, and it's one of the best clones that I have tried leather wise on a leather fragrance, being that ombre leather or Tuscan Leather. It's superbly blended, and I really enjoy leather from Ahmed Al Maghribi. Performance here, as I said in the opening, is very strong. It doesn't project very loudly, but the total performance on skin and on clothes is very good. I get over 10 hours of performance out of this fragrance with a sort of a moderate projection in the first about 2 hours. One interesting fact about this one, as I said, the concentration here is supposedly EDP, but this fragrance is very oily, and I think the oil concentration here is very high, and thus I think this leans more toward a parfum concentration. Just keep that in mind. Price wise, I was able to get this fragrance for a very decent price, about 20 euros. I think usually it's a little bit more costly, but at the 20 to 25 euro mark, I think it's a very good deal. And versatility wise, this is a fragrance that's more orientated towards the cold weather because of the strong leather note. I just cannot imagine anyone wearing this in hot weather. And also I think it's an unisex fragrance that leans towards the masculine side. And now let's talk about the second fragrance featured in today's video, the Tobacco Rush from the house of Afnan. The fragrance comes packaged in this very interesting looking box. In fact, this is a sleeve that you have to pull out. On the front you got the name of the fragrance, the name of the company. On the back you get also the concentration, EDP. On the back you get some additional information, sticker of authenticity, a production date which reads August of 2023. In order to get to the bottle you need to slide this sleeve off, and then you're greeted by the bottle, which looks really nice, and it's made out of two parts. Packaging is really impressive on this fragrance. And then once you get to the bottle, this is how it looks. It has again a very interesting shape, a very slim and wide body. It feels kind of heavy in hand, and one fact that I really like about this fragrance is the fact that it has a magnetic cap, and let me tell you something, the magnets here are very strong, and also there's no way to actually put the cap on the wrong side, because the magnets would not allow you to do that. Very strong magnets again, and very interesting packaging. The note breakdown of Tobacco Rush, at least as per Fragrantica, has the following notes. The top notes are tobacco, spicy notes and woody notes. The middle notes are spicy notes, sweet notes and lavender. And the base notes are agar, oud, amber and cedar. Now there's one very important note that's missing in that note breakdown, but I'll tell you what that is in a second. This is the sprayer. It's a good sprayer, although it's a bit on the weak side, but that could be actually considered a good thing because of how strong this fragrance is, but more about that in a minute. Onto the scent of this fragrance. This is not a clone of anything out there, but it's more of a twist. I think Afnan have done something that Armaf usually do, and that's taking two DNAs and mixing them up together. One of them is Mancero's Red Tobacco, and the other one is Tom Ford's Oud. Now, the opening of this fragrance is very heavy on the tobacco note, but it's a sort of an ashy tobacco note that I pick up out of this fragrance. You got some spices in the opening with a touch of leather and a touch of sweetness. When this goes into the dry down, that agar oud note starts to make itself present, although it's not very heavy and it plays more of a support role. That very strong tobacco note from the opening carries on that strength to the dry down of this fragrance. Some of the spices go away and you're introduced to a very strong and nice leather note in the dry down of this fragrance. In the opening there's a hint of the leather, but on the dry down it's very strong. So the dry down is a mix of that ashy tobacco note, that agar oud and the leather note with again a touch of amber sweetness on the dry down in here. The more this dries down, the sweeter it becomes, the amber note becomes stronger and stronger the more you get into the dry down of this fragrance. But make no mistake, this is by no means a sweet fragrance. That amber note just again plays more of a support role, trying to balance out the agar oud and the ashy tobacco note in this fragrance, and the leather as well. All in all, it's a very dark, very masculine, very strong scent that I absolutely love, to be honest. I've been really enjoying Tobacco Rush. Quality of the scent is very high, as you would expect with Afnan fragrances. I've never been disappointed by the quality of Afnan fragrances. As I said, this is not a sort of a clone of anything, but it's more like a mix, leaning more towards the Mancero's Red Tobacco side, but carrying a lot of that woodiness that you get out of Tom Ford's Oud. When it comes to performance, again, a beast mode performing fragrance. This one lasts well over 10-11 hours on my skin, with very loud projection in the first up to 3 hours. It's been really a beast of a performer, and it's one of the strongest fragrances in my collection, especially when it comes to projection. So you're getting a great performer with Tobacco Rush. The price tag, I paid about 35 euros when this was on sale, so that will translate into something like $40 in the US, which I think is a pretty good deal. Afnan fragrances tend to be a little bit more expensive compared to to Lattafa, for an example. When it comes to versatility, a strictly masculine scent, very dark, and a strictly cold weather scent. Again, this is so strong and so leathery and ashy and woody, thanks to the agar oud, that I just cannot imagine anyone wearing this in warm weather. It's a strictly cold weather scent, strictly masculine, and strictly a nighttime scent. And so onto my final thoughts about Leather from Ahmed Al Maghribi and Tobacco Rush from Afnan. Leather from Ahmed Al Maghribi is a super high quality clone of Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather. You get that very leathery, slightly sweet, slightly fruity, slightly spicy scent profile that you get with the original fragrance. You get a very nice packaging, very high quality scent, and you get a beast of a performer out of leather. Just keep in mind that you need to try to really like leather-based, leather-centered fragrances in order to enjoy leather. And you also keep in mind that this does not project very hard, but it lasts for a very, very long time. The only drawback, the only con of this fragrance probably is the bottle size, which is 50 milliliters. You cannot get this fragrance in any other bottle size. But apart from that, I've been really, really enjoying leather. And this fragrance is great for the leather lovers out there. When it comes to Tobacco Rush from Afnan, this is another very, very impressive fragrance. Again, Afnan have not disappointed me with their fragrances. A great fragrance, a great mix between Mancero's Red Tobacco and Tom Ford's Oud Oud. Taking that tobacco DNA but making it darker, making it more masculine, and oh no, I've really, really enjoyed this fragrance. It's a beast of a performer, very long lasting, very hard projecting. You get a very nice presentation, you get the strongest magnetic cap that you can possibly get on a fragrance out there. And again, the only con of this fragrance is the 80 milliliter bottle size. But apart from that, this is a great masculine fragrance that has a very strong ashy tobacco note with some leather, some agar oud, and a bit of amber sweetness. So if you like your strong tobacco fragrances, then Tobacco Rush definitely deserves to be tried out. Both of them get a huge like from me. And so guys, in today's video I showed you two very impressive Middle Eastern fragrances, Ahmed Al Maghribi's Leather and Tobacco Rush from the house of Afnan. I hope that you found this video interesting. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me in the next one. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.